G'day everyone. Welcome to this edition of DURKO's Notebook for the 2023 British Grand Prix. After all the action we saw this weekend, I've got a shitload I want to talk about. So pull up a pew, sit back, relax and enjoy the show. You wouldn't fucking read about it. So F1's again returned to the Silverstone circuit. As David Croft refers to it, it's the home of F1. I don't agree with what Crofty says, it being the home of F1. Admittedly, it was the venue for the first race in the current championship as we know it many decades ago, but I think as a world championship, there is no definitive home for where F1 is run. I always wondered to myself what makes it unique with its 5.9 kilometre distance and 18 turns that have all got their own unique name. They're not referred to as Turn 1, Turn 2. You've got your Beckett's, Copse, any other number of names that go, Bridge, all these names that go with different corners on the circuit. And admittedly, it seems to be a pretty good driver's circuit, but I've always asked myself, would the championship come to a complete halt if we never raced at Silverstone again? A lot of people say yes, it would. It's just so special on the calendar. But it is, of course, as I said, a unique driving circuit, and it brings out some really high-speed racing, which is what we want to see. Now, obviously, the interesting thing was McLaren turned up with a new livery or special livery for this home race for them, with all the chrome, obviously due to the sponsor Gurgle. I think it looks great with that bit of chrome on it, but getting away from all of the Papia orange being too much on the car maybe. But sort of going back to the old Vodafone days when they were racing with all that chrome all over the car, I think it was great. Now, obviously, during the practice sessions and quali, Norris was doing pretty well, except he tried to take some extra parts, one of the cooling fans for the car's brakes with him, which wasn't obviously allowed there. Luckily, he got no penalty out of it because he only got to the end of the pits when he was advised by the team to stop, and a mechanic ran after him to retrieve the part. There was a funny thing in quali I'll talk about later. I just want to cover off on the pace of two teams in free practice. Obviously, Ferrari and FP3, Leclerc time hit the top of the sheets there. Because in FP2 he had electrical fault and couldn't run, obviously, because he was running normal Ferrari electrics. Williams, they're showing great pace again. Even Sargent was up there and he was sort of redeeming himself to try and retain his seat. But in quali, obviously, Max hit the wall and broke the front wing. He reckons there was too much grip on the rear and he simply understeered into the wall. Don't know if that happens when you've been driving there for so many years and he just hit the wall. But anyway, it was weird. They had to obviously replace the front wing and there was no time or penalty to him. No time lost, I should say, in terms of his time in quali for that session. And McLaren, as I said, I hope they keep that livery, but they've done really well, obviously, to put the cars 2 and 3 on the grid in quali. It was an outstanding effort to come back. They've really made some advancements in that team, especially with the upgrades they brought to Austria on Norris's car, which obviously delivered results. Then they've given the chance for Oscar to display what he can do with those upgrades, and they've worked. And I really think it's a stellar effort for what Andre is doing as the team principal. And I think he may be one of the keys that's bringing that team back to fruition and back towards the front of the pointy end of the grid, so to speak. Zach's obviously there as the overseer of everything, the monarch, so to speak, of the team. But Andrea Stella's there. He's the on-the-ground day-to-day guy that's bringing the McLaren F1 team back to where it is. And I think that's great. Now, in the race itself, there was a fair bit of action that went on, and it was just a great race. Plenty of wheel-to-wheel racing again, like what we saw previously in Austria. And that's what we've missed for years. Admittedly, Max was out in front. He had, was him and Daylight second. But for the rest of the other 19 cars, there was plenty of on-track action and racing until a few of them broke down and hit the pits and showers early. Also, De Vries, he's not doing himself any favours again, trying to retain his seat. The word is, as I said before, Helmut's put him on notice, but then he goes and hits the back of Hulk's car. Hulk fortunately saw the pit lane and was able to shoot straight in to get his Haas tub fixed. But De Vries, it was just a stupid move, clipping the back of the Haas. You didn't have to go into the corner that hot. You could have seen him. He's in front of you. It's obviously a racing car. It's not a shadow, and he's hit it. Whether it was on purpose, obviously it's not on purpose, but it was just a bit of a dickhead, no-brain move from De Vries, and I just went, okay, again. One other thing that was questioned was why did McLaren, when obviously Magnussen's car shit itself and caught on fire, there was a virtual safety car, then a full safety car, and that safety car went on forever, of course, but McLaren put Lando out on hard tyres, and there was questions there of why they did that. But as Andrea Stella confirmed, it was a strategy thing that while they're behind the safety car, the tyres can heat up to the normal temperature in due course, not in any great hurry if they'd gone straight back out onto a full race green flag situation. So that explains why the hard tyres were there for those McLarens. And of course, it worked out. Obviously, the tyre strategy, that car is just really good on tyres. They're not chewing them up like the Red Bulls tend to chew up their tyres. Now, I'm going to get criticised here. Somebody's already said to me, no, you're wrong. But anyway, I'll get to the point. What I'm talking about is Gasly and Stroll. Towards the end of the race, there was a coming together going through the left-right-hand combination. Now, what I want to point out here is Stroll was off the circuit. Now, somebody's already highlighted to me the fact that Gasly made his own ways and hit another driver earlier in the race, but there was no damage done. It was a coming together, a racing incident, rubbings racing sort of incident, but this is completely different because Stroll's actually gone off the circuit and across the black and white curb, and then he's come back in straight onto the side of Gasly. And in doing so, he's busted Gasly's car and broken the suspension. Now, I was told by one person, no, DURKO, you're wrong because Gasly didn't give him enough room. Well, I hate to point it out, but if Gasly's on the actual circuit and Stroll's gone across off the circuit coming back on, I can't see how Gasly's entitled or has any legal requirement to give him room to come back onto the circuit. Stroll's the idiot who's gone off. Stroll's at fault. And then he's come along and T-boned the side of Gasly's car, breaking it. Now, the stupid thing is the FIA race steward has again given out the most pathetic penalty of 5 seconds added on to Stroll's overall time. I don't know why this bloke doesn't get more penalty points. I mean, now admittedly he's in front of Gasly on the penalty point count, so he's at least topping one list of points. But why this bloke, he's got to be getting close to a one race ban, and it's going to be the greatest thing out because I can watch a race without Stroll in it. Because he's just an absolute menace, he's dangerous. As Doug Parker, I've got to give credit here to Doug Parker, he made the comment during the week, Stroll's only costing his old man money because his shit-house performance in that car against what his teammate Alonso is doing, he's not getting any championship points. Therefore, it's costing his dad millions of dollars in championship points at the end of the season, return to the teams. Here's your prize money. Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, great. So he's making an idiot of himself by his driving style, and then he's costing his old man money, and he's tying up a seat that, Drugovic could be in, showing us what he could do. Be good to get another Brazilian on the circuit again. But he's just making these dickhead moves, switched off brain moves into the side of other guys and breaking their cars. Admittedly, if there was no great damage to Gasly's car, look, 5 seconds might have been applicable, but the thing is, he broke Gasly's car, put him out of the race. Ocon went out earlier due to his own, mechanical fault, but Gasly was punted off with a broken car. So I don't know why there's no threshold to say you need a harsher penalty of, 10 grid place penalty for when they get on the next race in Hungary. I mean, years ago we used to see McLaren when they had the Honda with the size 0 engines in them, they were getting 30 and 40 place grid penalties because they're on about the 58th engine for that weekend, and they were just starting at the back of the grid permanently. So why doesn't Stroll get a decent penalty like 10 grid place penalties for taking another driver out and ruining his whole race, bidding his car, like destroying his car on him? Anyway, that's enough of that. Rant over. Getting back to the race itself, obviously Max was in a completely another league of racing again, and as I said, more overall great racing. Now, obviously I want to get on to two topics at least, and these are both my opinion. Please feel free to criticise me in whatever way you want, but this is my opinion. The celebrities on the grid, you've got to say no to them. There should be some criteria. I mean, they had this supermodel there that was there as a guest of Alfa Romeo. She's standing next to either Joe's car or Bottas's. Martin's gone up to say, hello, how are you? Do you want a quick chat? She's got some bloke from Alpha's gone, no, she's not talking. So Martin's tried to interview her. Anyway, she said, no, I can't hear what you're saying. I'm not interested. Can you just please go away almost? So there's going to be, again, a threshold for these celebrities they're putting on the grid. Do you have a favourite driver, team, or do you know the name of a circuit, particularly the one you're at, and what's your interest in being here? If you can't meet that criteria, stay in the paddock club, eat your quarter-sized cucumber sandwiches and get another top-up of a glass of Moe and watch the race from there. If you need to see how the cars work, walk down the bloody pit lane like they do when those with the access get a pit lane walk. Get some PR guy from the team to walk you along and say, right, here's our two cars. This is what the mechanics are doing. That's where the driver sits. X, Y, Z. Do it in the downtime when the cars are in the garage. Don't do it on the bloody grid when there's some idiot standing there with absolutely no clue or idea of what's going on. Just absolutely clogging up the space that's on the grid. Sure, there is guys and women that turn up that have an interest in the sport. They can know people. They recognise the drivers, the team principals, da-da-da. That's fine. Get those guys in there. Limit the numbers. But don't just plonk somebody in there for the sake of having a celebrity on the grid to make your car look better. It's just a waste of space. I don't know why the FIA don't say, right, each team, go and pick one person out of some battler from the bloody paddock who's saved up all year to get his ticket for the weekend. He's camped in a tent for the British Grand Prix weekend. He's travelled from home, busted himself to get there. He's paid through his ass for a ticket. Go and get some plonker out of there and say, mate, you're lucky weekend. You're on the grid for half an hour coming with us. Here's a quick tour of the garage, onto the grid. Yeah, right, great. Here's the drivers. Yep, great. Go back to your seat before the race starts. I don't know why they just don't do that. Because F1 should be about the fans, not these people they just drag out of nowhere that have got no idea that, and then half of us, or most of us at least, look at these people and go, who are they? What are they doing there? What are they achieving? Nothing. Anyway, moving on from celebrities. That's my whinge. I probably won't mention it again. I've had enough to say. Now, the interesting thing was Brad Pitt's turned up and he's recording his movie. He's using this fictional team called Apex GP or APX GP. It's called Apex. And he's just, the whole story's there. We all know the whole story. But it was great to see that he's been in France training with other professional drivers how to drive the rejigged F2 car that is through Carla Motorsport that they've sourced it. And I think it's a beautiful livery they've come out with. It reminds me of the old Haas when they had the rich energy drinks. But it's a beautiful looking, black with a bit of gold and all the AMG stuff over it. And obviously, Brad's made some comments that he doesn't want to be criticised if some of his drivings are a bit off or a bit amateurish, as he said in this comment here.
Wait, for all the armchair experts out there, you got to give us a little breathing room. If you see any spin outs or something that looks like it's a stall or something like that, it's by design.
And all I can say to you is, Brad, don't do a remake of Driven with Sly Stallone. That was just the worst movie I've probably ever seen in relation to motorsport. Even worse than Days of Thunder. So that says that. So I'm looking forward to whatever the movie's going to be. It's got no title yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing it because it looks like it's going to be done properly. So that's it for this edition of DURKO's Notebook for the 2023 British Grand Prix. It was a great weekend overall, and I'll make a promise to you guys. If Lance Stroll can get the points in the next 3 races, I'll stop whinging about him. I'll give him some credit that he's actually having a go. Deal? Okay. So until then, for next time when I'll report back for the Hungarian Grand Prix with another edition of DURKO's Notebook, wish you well and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.